Welcome back to the 13th Destiny Podcast with Magnum. I'm your host, James Magnum Cook, and tonight I'm coming pardon me, I've been driving all day, drove across most of New Mexico today, and those of you who have been listening to the podcast know that I do have a fractured rib that I am healing up slowly but surely and driving back from San Diego. Well, anyway, I am your host, of course, James Magnum Cook, and it is nice to be back with you tonight here in the 13th Destiny Podcast world. I traveled across New Mexico today on Veterans Day, and happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. Thank you for everything that you do for us and or have done for us, and the ones who are also out there still serving for us that will be veterans. So I want to get that out of the way. And also it's my sister's birthday too, one of them. I think it's interesting. One of my sisters was born on Veterans Day, and of course I was born on Flag Day, June the 14th, so we're both born on holidays. Kind of ironic because they're both, patriotic type holidays. I think that's kind of unusual. Maybe not. Maybe there's others out there, but it's just in the same family, that close together seems kind of interesting to me when I think about it. And again, if you hear me breathing a little hard, it's because I was in the car most of the day. And again, I try to keep this anti-political, but there were some reasons that I decided not to do a lot of stuff in New Mexico, and got out of New Mexico as quickly as I could, which was a long drive actually. And by the way, this is not directed towards anybody that's a citizen of New Mexico. That's not directed towards you at all. So I hope you understand that. Probably most of you probably don't even know what I'm talking about. And some of you probably may have homed in on it, but it's not that big a deal. I just didn't want to deal with certain things, and I took some of the back roads and stayed away from some of that stuff, partly because my GPS screwed up, and then I just decided to go with it, and it worked out pretty good. So I didn't have to face a lot of that, but I am so glad to be back in the wonderful free state of Texas and this awesome place. So tonight, I want to give a big shout out also to this amazing, I'm going to tell you, she is amazing. I cannot believe what I walked into tonight. So I walked into this Holiday Inn Amarillo West Medical Center here in Amarillo, and this desk clerk has got to be one of the most amazing people I have met in a long time. And her name is Allison Clark. I met her tonight, and she was the only person working. There's apparently no manager on duty, I guess, as far as I can tell. I mean, I know back home in Bowling Green, a GM or someone would step in. But there was probably, I will say when I checked in, there was probably 4 or 5 people in there. And then there was just back to back and back. And every time I came down, up until, and I'll tell you about that in a minute, up until this final time I come down, or maybe like the last 2 times I came down, she was just overwhelmed. It was just like back to back, back to back. I thought, like, when is this woman going to get a break? And she did an outstanding job. I think the Holiday Inn should give her a raise, and an award together. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, because she did great. She took care of everybody. I've seen a lot of really good desk clerks, but this is a desk clerk I would tell you that from my observation, and I've stayed in a lot of hotels, and I've done business with the local Holiday Inn in Bowling Green, Kentucky, probably for 17 plus years. And I have never seen a performance this good. She, no matter what was being thrown at her, no matter how many people she had come, she stayed on top of it. And it was so amazing to me, and I was so impressed. I actually gave her a tip because I felt so bad that so much was going on when I was checking in. And then I went back down a little later, and of course I ordered some food. So I was going to order some food, and I decided, I'm going to be nice to her. I'm going to give her something. So I got her a cheesecake, and some cheesecake, and give that to her. And it was nice for her to say you're so sweet. And of course, I also give her my books, of course, and I didn't pose with her this time because she's so busy, and I knew there was going to be more people coming back to back. I just got lucky on the break with her. And then, of course, I went down a little later to grab some drinks so I could do the podcast. and she was really, really amazing. And I tell you, I don't think I really talk up someone that much. Now, the desk clerk in Decatur, Texas, I met, she was a wonderful person, did a great job, don't get me wrong. But she was not being overwhelmed like this woman was. I mean, this was incredible to see how she was handling this back to back. I don't think a lot of people would have dealt with it as well as she did. And that's why, because I've seen a lot of places, and it gets this bad. You got one or two things happening. You either get something that is an unfortunate confrontation that shouldn't happen, or you end up losing a really good employee. And so this person did great. So I am definitely shouting out to her. And someone when the Holiday Inn really, I hope hears this at some point and does something really good for her, because let me tell you, she is going above and beyond the call of duty for you guys. And I know this personally from doing so much business with the Holiday Inn, both at home and across the country, because I go to a lot of Holiday Inns. And this woman, and I'm not saying this because I know the woman. Tonight's the first time I've ever met her. She's never met me before until tonight. And wow, talk about someone you would want to be on your staff. Whew. I would give anything to manage people like this. And that's not one of my models. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about just in a regular business. Having employees like this is so important. And especially right now with everything that's going on, this woman was awesome. So I guess I'm probably talking about this woman tonight because she was amazing. But anyway, that's that, and I'll get past that. So, and pardon me on my breathing. I am having a little difficulty because I was in the car for probably a good 8 or 10 hours, somewhere before I got all the way in here. And just so you know, I am going to drink something. I know you're going to hear it. But I just need to take a break here for a second as we're talking, and I need to do this. And I apologize for that, but I'm trying to maintain with both my air and everything else. So just give me just a minute. All right, sorry about that. But it's I'm having some difficulty tonight. I think because I spent too much time in the car. The rib I think is getting better. I think it is getting better, but I think I end up having a little bit more swelling and stuff like that if I stay too long in the car. Even though I did get out a few places, I just didn't get the walk around and stuff that I normally do. And after I do the podcast tonight, I'm definitely going to take some medication and try to get some decent sleep. Because tomorrow should be really fun. Tomorrow, this is something that I have wanted to do for a long time, and I have some friends back in Bowling Green, Kentucky I've talked to about this before. And it's just it's one of those things where I have never had the chance to do this, and it's a little expensive, but you know what? I'm going to take the plunge and try to do this thing, even with the rib being, which may give me difficulty doing what I plan to do. But I'm going to the Big Texan tomorrow, and I'm going to try the 72-ounce steak, and I'm going to try to eat the whole thing in an hour and do all that. I think I can do this, actually. At least I knew I could do it when I was in good shape. I might have some issues with the rib. If it is, I'm not going to push it, but I'm going to make a try on this. I think it's just fun to try things like this that you wanted to always try. And I like steak, so it's a good thing. And yes, it's a little expensive. I hear that. I know that. So, but this trip is expensive. California was expensive. I'll make that up when I get back. I was going to do some door dashing while I was on this trip, and I started to do that. But I was going to do some on the way back because I was going to pace myself more on the way back. Because I still do DoorDash on the side. If you've heard one of my episodes, you know that I still do that a lot. And, originally it was just extra money, and it was pretty decent for me. I've worked some tremendous, crazy hours doing DoorDash. There was times where I was working 12 hours a day doing it, and sometimes more. And you kind of have to do that. But luckily, I have a hybrid, and obviously, I wouldn't be on this trip if I didn't have a hybrid because of the price of gas. Although the price of gas in Texas is pretty good compared to everywhere else I've been lately. It's not too bad. You can find some gas under $3 a gallon here, so that's Texas, remember? But anyway, that's another thing. I try not to get into too much of the politics, and some of it's politics and some of it's speculation, and some of it, there's actually a combination in this whole thing. So, and I don't really want to go into all that, and I kind of know that, but there are things that do cause problems for any business or things, no matter what you do. And again, I try to stay anti-political on this show as much as possible. I try to stay completely anti-political, but I think sometimes with the trips and things, there are a few things that come up that, are related to politics, one side or the other. So it may come up from time to time, but I'll try to be very diplomatic about it when it comes up. So let's say that. So I'll try to stay anti-political as much as possible, but if it does come up, I will do my best to be diplomatic and, nice to both sides. Not very many people can do that. So anyway, I got to get off that subject, but anyway, it was just, some of it's funny in a way. So anyway, so I'm going to go to the Big Texan tomorrow, and I'm going to try that out. And yes, I'm in pain. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm probably even though the pain had went down, the swelling was decent, that between 8 and 10 hours in the car, and only getting like a few stops was definitely causing some issues today. Sorry, I had to take another drink or I'm not going to be able to. And by the way, it's not alcohol. I just wanted to let you know that. Might have been better if it was, in all honesty, considering some of the pain. But I don't do stuff like that. I don't take the chance of drinking something and then taking some kind of medication. It's just too dangerous. It's way too dangerous. It's not something I would want to try to do. Some people take those risks, and sometimes those dice roll, and sometimes they come up bad. So it's not something that I really want to do. So, if I'm going to have a drink, I'm definitely not going to be taking medication to be able to sleep and stuff like that. That's just way too dangerous. Way too dangerous. I don't care what kind of pain I'm in. So I guess I will bring that up. So this is a very interesting thing. So someone asked me this question. Those who know me well know that I've been in a lot of car accidents. I know I've been in fights. I've been cut on. I've been stabbed. Some stuff in my bar security experience and other security experience. And someone asked me, and they said, "Well, that much stuff, have you ever taken prescription painkillers?" And I said, "Well, I've been given them, and I'll occasionally take like one, and then I'll throw the bottle because and this is before the big problem of all that stuff. I just never saw it as something that I wanted to do just to kill the pain, because somehow I had the insight that was just a bad thing to start with, and it's a shame so many people didn't, especially the oxy and all that stuff. It's a shame that they didn't, you were in pain and you wanted something done about it. But ironically, there's a lot of other stuff you can use for pain, and even though I don't use that either, I don't have a problem with people who are being advocates for it, and for if it helps them, medically or otherwise, if it eases something. I'm sorry, I got this thing with, okay, you say some places say, oh, we need more research. Like, I'm from the state of Kentucky, and they're so far behind on this. And I'm not trying to, say, you don't have some reasons of why you want to do this. You don't have some, I understand there's some issues with some people, but you can't really use it on a moral issue anymore. I'm sorry, you just can't. And if you want to do stuff, you can't really do good research unless you actually have people using this stuff. So you ought to think about that. But again, I'm not a professional advocate for it. Like, I have some friends that are. But obviously the prescription drugs obviously did a really bad number on this country. I think I'm thankful that I had the insight not to get on the painkillers, no matter what kind of pain I was in. And I've been in some pretty bad pain. I'm not going to tell you about. Well, I may tell you someday. Some people that in Bowling Green, they know this about me. But I had a surgery like when I was 27 years old that literally was so bad with the situation. It was just the pain, but it was whole not even being able to walk for 5 weeks. And the few of the people that listen to the podcast didn't know the whole story about that. They know exactly what I'm talking about, and they know the story I'm talking about. It might come up sometime later, but yeah, there was a time where I wasn't really able to walk for 5 weeks. I mean, technically I could walk within weeks, but really, really bad. But for the entire first week and most of the second week, but and it was still painful. And I refused to take anything other than some over there, and I was very careful about that. I was 27 years old, and I could have very easily just, hey, give me some stuff, knock it out, whatever. But it just wasn't worth it. So anyway, that's another subject. So I don't know. I got off the subject tonight for some reason a couple different times. I don't know. Maybe the pain's kicking my butt or something. I've been through some pain, obviously. I've been through some stuff, but this is just, I don't know, this rib is just, and by the way, I've had rib injuries before. This one, for some strange reason, the minute I think I'm getting better, it's not as swollen. I will say it's not as swollen, but I got a little bit more pain today. And I noticed that, unfortunately, I didn't realize this until later, that apparently my seatbelt comes across in part of that area. And so I had to kind of adjust several times driving. And again, so it was kind of a rough day. But I made it. I'm here. And I'm going to get some rest now after I put the podcast up. And then I'm going to try this thing out tomorrow. And big shout out there to Dylan out there in Kentucky, who was on my Facebook. And we kind of had a little chat about that. And certainly I would love for him and my friend Darren both to be out here. Well, I've talked to both of them about this before. It's a shame you guys were not with me. Let me tell you, I do believe that all three of us could actually win at the same. I believe we could all three take them down. Of course, they'd probably run us out of there. Yeah, you know how these Kentucky boys are. But anyway, so and again, if you've had some trouble following me tonight, I apologize, because I'm sure you can hear my breathing is at times a little not me, but I will heal up. I will get better, and I'm not letting a fractured rib stop me from traveling across the country. I'm not stopping it from I'm not letting it stop me from doing the fun things I want to do on the way back, and including visiting my friends out there in Bridgeport, Texas, who I will see sometime tomorrow, and I'm going to spend the weekend with them. This is the first time I've ever spent the weekend with their entire family. I made them a promise. I'm going to keep that promise. I promised them that I would come back through. And because Bugs, man, he's off on the weekends, and we all talked. And so we're going to hang out with them and the kids for an entire weekend. Something I've never done, never been able to do. And when I make a promise, I do my best to keep it. And that's what I'm going to do. And this is despite being like in a lot of pain, and but I'm dealing with it, and I think I'll pace myself tomorrow, because I don't think we're going to do anything tomorrow night, but I'm going to go ahead and spend the rest of the weekend with them. So I'll do this tomorrow. This will probably maybe one of the only main things I do, and maybe then some traveling. Just try to take it easy once I start getting out of Amarillo, heading towards Bridgeport, which I'll stay in Decatur. Obviously, I'll stay in Decatur because Decatur's got the Holiday Inn out there. Ooh, excuse me, pardon me. Where I met Elizabeth Clark recently. She's a really good desk clerk too, but she had a little calmer than this woman did tonight, and wow. Whew. So anyway, I am going to tell you something. Normally I would not tell everybody this, but hey, I think you've gotten to know me, and I'm pretty open about a lot of stuff. So if you just heard me, and I apologize, excuse me for burping, let me tell you something. That hurts like you would not believe. That's worse than the breathing. So anyway, that's all good, and I'll talk to you soon again, and thank you for being on the 13th Destiny podcast with Magnum, and another episode coming up soon. Good night. Have a great evening, morning, or wherever it is, wherever you're at. God bless all of you.